to incorporate the total global savage, Michael, into the show. It's always been there, but I don't like being stereotyped by anybody. I don't like being trapped in a paradigm, my own paradigm. I don't like being typecast. I don't like being stereotyped. I don't like being imprisoned. And I feel that it's important, as the world changes, that you understand who you're listening to and where I'm coming from. There's a far broader Michael Savage than you may know. Many people who hate my politics hate me because they don't know me. They have no idea who I am or what I've done or where I've been. And they don't care either. They'd rather destroy me than listen to me. But that's to their detriment. So if I make those statements about Bruce Jenner being a freak who belongs in a nut house, you have to understand where I'm coming from. It doesn't mean I have to go along with the flow just because society is degenerating. I do not have to degenerate with it. Or if I criticize Barack Obama, it's very easy to say he's anti-black, but you don't know anything about me. You don't know anything about me. You don't know I'm the only conservative on radio who defended blacks one year after another on this show, nor do you care about it, whether it was Kobe Bryant falsely accused by that white trasher up in the mountains. Remember that one? Remember where I stood on that? You don't remember that. You don't have to remember that because your mind is made up. And that's sad. But my mind isn't made up. My mind is open. And in that sense, I'm the most dangerous man on earth, which is a free thinker. And also, by the way, the whole concept of being a free thinker is the most dangerous threat to any social order. It's the most dangerous threat to a power structure. And yet it's the only salvation for society. Because only by thinking freely can man free himself and others. Otherwise, we're just trapped in our own paradigms, becoming parrots of one side or another. And where does that get us? Nowhere. Nowhere. We sound like Nancy Grace on one side or the other. A mindless fool yattering for ratings. And I'm not going to fall into that. Now, I want to go back to some of the callers. WFTL in Florida, line 9. Go ahead, please. You have anything to say? Say it now.
Michael,
line 9. Go ahead. Fire away.
I just want to know what the feeling's like with a 707 horsepower car.
All right. Thank you for the call. No, it's okay. It's a decent call, but I don't want to talk about its open mind. I'm not talking about the Dodge. I forget the name of the. I don't even. I haven't driven the car in a month. First of all, I don't have the time. Second of all, I've been ill and getting over an illness. And thirdly, talking about the illness I just got over, and I'm still not over it. I got to tell you, it's moving around in my throat now. I think it's actually cleared my mind. I think that the virus that I was infected with is actually, you know what they say, that which doesn't kill us will make us stronger. I think that my immune system is now functioning at such a high level because of the challenge of this weird virus that my mind is clearer. Isn't that strange? But speaking of that, the virus, which had affected my throat, is now affecting a deep part of my right throat, which had affected me in Fiji. I never told you this, but in those years I was collecting in Fiji, I once came down with a sore throat, and I had no antibiotics with me, and I was so sick I was running like 104 fever. The villagers made a drink for me out of leaves. They gave me one dose of it, and it cured me. I felt it burn me on the way down. Literally, it was like drinking some plant acid. And I never had that sore throat went away, and it was so deep it scared the heck out of me. I wish I had collected those plants. I don't even know what was in that one. That was a great one. And pre-Viagra, interestingly enough, they even had a remedy for that. Would you believe it? Even these strong, strapping islanders, known for their warrior ways, had herbal formulas said to bring life back to the deadest member of a man's body. Even they suffered ED. So don't think it's it's just a product of Western civilization eating white flour and gluten. It was their issue too. I remember talking with some of those healers, including a woman. You talk about transgendered. How about a human being who transformed herself in front of my eyes? Her name was Mr. Wilcombe. She was a woman, a black woman, who knew folk remedies. And when she went into her state of mind, she became Mr. Wilcombe. Which I have her on tape, I have her recorded, I have her remedies written down. She went into a trans state, not a transsexual change, but her spirit went into that of another person. She claimed Mr. Wilcombe was I think she said he was a European who had visited the village, and she picked up his spirit and his mojo or whatever, and she became him. And she'd read, at that time, she'd read stuff to me and go into that state of mind. But many of the others were just local women who were healers with their remedies, who trusted your loyal talk show host, Michael Savage, entrusted me with this knowledge to record for their future generations. I have not been back to those islands in 30 years, nor do I ever think I'll be there ever again. Nor do I think I ever want to be there again. Because after television, all I'm going to see is kids who want to look like rap stars in the villages. And it's something I never want to see, frankly.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE. Savage. Warning. The Savage Nation contains adult language, adult content, psychological nudity. Listener discretion is advised. And now, America's most exciting radio talk show, The Savage Nation, home of unprotected talk, borders, language, culture. And here he is, Michael Savage.
After those first 2 hours, all I could think of was a Beatles song. And in this hour, with God's will and your listenership, I'm going to go to the callers who got what I was doing, and let's see what they have to say. And then we'll go from there with all the news, views, and reviews that you're used to. If you missed the first 2 hours, I can't repeat them. I can't summarize them. I can't condense them. I can't give you the carnation milk version of them where you just add water and get the show. Either you heard it or you didn't, and either you got it or you don't. And as I wrote in my journal when I was 18, those who know will always know, and those who don't will never. Savage, circa, well, when I was 18 years of age. I don't think most people got what I was doing. But I felt that it's not like you're stupid. It's just like you're not used to it. This is not the medium for it. You're not in a graduate school. You're not here for philosophy. You're here for politics. I get it. But that's not what I'm going to do because I feel that that's not who I am. And there are shows that just do politics. God bless you if you like it better. Go listen to them. But I feel that we have to puncture the envelope of our consciousness to see what's beyond our consciousness in order to understand where our consciousness comes from. And once you understand that your consciousness is a product of a lot of brainwashing, you may find out that there's something beyond your consciousness that can enlighten you as to what's really going on even within the world of politics. And I realize that's a double, triple backward flip, but when you look at Boehner, the drunk, the sellout, pushing new secret White House powers with the hidden Obama trade deal, you ask yourself, how could anyone get worse than Boehner? How could we live in a country that's this bad, you ask? And I go back again to the Whiskey Rebellion of 1794, when our so-called great founding father, Alexander Hamilton, was the mastermind behind a military response to the insurrection of Americans who didn't want to pay a whiskey tax. After paying the whiskey tax to the British, the American frontiers people loved making whiskey out of the excess corn that they had. And so they didn't pay any taxes on it. They were basically moonshiners. Well, all of a sudden, George Washington, who led this great revolution against the British, said, no, we want the tax. We want the tax from you. And the colonists said, what are you, crazy? We don't want to pay you taxes. He said, okay, good, you don't want to pay it. So they created an army of 13,000 men, the largest American army ever amassed in one place during the Revolution, even, to quell the uprising of citizens and make sure they pay taxes. So how does Boehner and McConnell differ from these guys who did that to your ancestors here in America? Well, I don't let you figure it out. That's all. That's all. Figure it out for yourself. Now let's go to the callers. Line number one, KSFO. Brent, welcome to the program. What's on your mind?
Michael, I have a question. I would like you to talk to the listeners about the scientific method. I'd like a lesson on the scientific method.
Okay, let me give you I'm going to give you, I don't know why I'm hearing myself. You want me to talk about the scientific method, which is the whole issue of evidence and proof, correct? And how you get to the truth of what's actually going on?
Yes, I think it transcends most of the discussions we have on the radio. I think critical thinking skills and the way that I look at propositions on the ballot or anything I look at, I think I put it through the scientific method.
Good. I'm going to answer you in one paragraph. It's on page 29 of my little book from 1974 called Secrets of Geomedicine, where I say science and art, what differentiates the scientist from the artist? Both seek to communicate a special idea or vision. But while the scientist offers proof in the form of experimental or statistical evidence, the artist attempts this proof by sheer control of a medium. The painting, sculpture, musical score, or manuscript becomes the proof in and of itself. By its elegance of execution, it communicates the special idea or vision. Yet the question as to what constitutes adequate proof continues to plague the scientist. Albeit elegant, many scientific proofs fail to convince on intimate analysis. So that didn't really answer your question, did it?
No, but the method does. If I was to say that tomatoes cause global warming, how would we run that through the scientific method?
Well, I'll give you an example. Let's talk specifically. Real scientists know that we're going through global cooling right now, and they're trying to fudge the data by eliminating the data so as not to expose the great fraud that was promulgated first by the United Nations. So you say, well, how do you explain that to the average person who is intelligent, doesn't have the time to study all of this? Which scientists oppose the theory of global warming? How accurate are their analyses? What do they have as proof? I boil it down to very simple answers because the people are so overloaded with information with an 8-second attention span. I try to get people to understand one piece of data, which is almost irrefutable, called the Vostok ice core samples. Are you aware of them at all?
Yes, I've heard of them.
Okay. Go and Google VOSTOK, Vostok ice core samples. And you will find that a team of Russian and European scientists drilled down into the Antarctic ice core. I think they drilled 10,000 feet, which would be 2 miles into the ice core. And they pulled up an ice core sample to look at the record in the ice, frozen in the ice forever, as to what temperature was like a long, long time ago, long before Al Gore came along with his con. And they look back millennia and they find out that there were periods of warming long before man entered the scene. There were periods of global warming and global cooling that occurred long before man industrialized. And so what does that tell us? It tells us that, yeah, there may be an uptick in temperature, a slight uptick, but it has nothing to do with carbon dioxide. In other words, we keep hearing that carbon dioxide is the new devil, that increased CO2 levels are going to kill all of us because it's causing global warming. It's a lie. There is no relationship whatsoever, at least directly, between CO2 levels and an increase in temperature. You know that for a fact, right?
Right. I think it's the method is what I'm interested in. So if I was to assume that tomatoes caused global warming, both you and I would we would form a hypothesis and we would look at our analysis and research and analyze the data, and we would take our emotions out of it, and we would look at the actual data and what it says.
Right, but the thing to remember is that when you get a guy, a liar like Obama, saying the evidence is in, and all scientists who are reputable agree man is destroying the planet through global warming, that unto itself is a pure lie. Just by definition of what he said, he's lying. Because in science, we learn, even in the 7th grade, that there are no absolutes. That's the most important fundamental understanding of science that I used to teach to 7th graders. I would say, boys and girls, in science, there are no absolutes. What does that mean? Is that there's no final proof on anything in science. It's an evolving learning experience. So for you get a demagogue like Obama or Gore or the UN pushing it, they're pushing a political agenda, not a scientific agenda. There are a few areas of science that affirm. Linus Pauling, the great chemist and scientist, said that one of the reasons he went into chemistry is because by studying the elements, he was pretty sure he knew exactly what was, because you can prove what an element is. And so that's why people study things, to get to the proof of something. But when it comes to social science, there is no proof. It's all invented, which is why the country is melting down morally and ethically, because they try to push their lie as a norm and as a reality. Take the thing about this transgendered business. They're trying to make that into a norm. There's no norm to that. That is a construct. It's an invention. Why suddenly do men want to become women? Can you explain that to me? When did that suddenly become a norm? Why is that to be applauded? Where is the heroism in a man altering his body and his mind to become a woman? Where is the heroism in that?
I would say as a scientist, we would want to put that through the method, and we would say, is that a healthy thing for children? And
well, we know it isn't. It confuses children. I pity the children. I wake up every day crying for the children, what they have to put up with, these psychotics pushing this lie down their throat. I wouldn't know what to do if I had a 5-year-old child right now, sending him to one of these government schools, lying to them, turning people like this into heroes and war heroes into criminals. It's a world of psychosis. It's an upside-down world. So what can I say to you other than I have my views of the world and you have your views of the world, and What is truth? Isn't that what we're saying? What is truth? What is absolute truth? Isn't that another question?
Yes, I just have to say, Michael, I have